The character of Vision has been a long-standing staple of the Marvel Universe. Ever since his creation in October 1968's Avengers issue 57, the android hero has been a near-permanent fixture in the Avengers, playing a notable role in many of the team's iconic stories. Created by Roy Thomas and John Buscema, Vision's character has often been defined over the years by his relationship with two distinct characters: his villainous creator Ultron, and his most prominent love interest, the Scarlet Witch. However, in 2015, Marvel decided to embark on a whole new chapter in the Vision story, giving the hero both his own standalone comic book series and a brand new family of androids like him. Tom King and Gabriel Hernandez Walta's Vision series is one of the most fascinating Marvel comics published in recent years, and one which reinvented the long-standing character in an incredibly unique way, turning his quest for normalcy in suburban America into a deep psychological exploration into purpose, family, and what it means to be alive. This comic has become one of the most influential stories that Marvel has published in the past decade, and one that continues to inspire both the way the Vision stories are told in the comic books, as well as serving as a major inspiration behind the popular television series Wandavision. And as such, in this video, I want to break down just what makes this comic so fascinating, and how King and Hernandez Walta reinvent and deconstruct this long-standing hero, in a way deeply rooted in horror and psychology, and how the Vision comic book series ultimately uses these ideas to explore themes of normalcy, autonomy, and what it truly means to be human. Before we continue though, just a quick reminder to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and subscribe to Owen Likes Comics so you don't miss out on any future videos. So before we dive into this comic itself, I think it's worth first overviewing the history of the Vision's character up until this point. You see, the Vision was originally created by the villainous Ultron, designed to aid him in his quest to destroy the Avengers. As such, Vision was sent to Avengers Mansion with the intentions of killing Earth's mightiest heroes, but after a confrontation with the Wasp, he instead chooses to turn against his creator and become a member of the team. Created by an evil robot with the sole purpose of world domination, Vision spent much of his time rebelling against his programming, and instead of seeking to destroy humans, Vision wished to be human. As such, not long after he became an Avenger, Vision became romantically linked with the Scarlet Witch, with the couple eventually marrying in 1975's giant-size Avengers issue 4, and a few years later, using Wanda's magic powers, the two became parents to the twins Tommy and Billy. However, in the years that followed this, Vision's history would become one filled with trauma and heartbreak. For example, in the 1989 West Coast Avengers storyline Vision Quest, the synthezoid hero is dismantled by the villain Immortus, and while he is eventually rebuilt by Hank Pym, he no longer contained the memories or any of the emotional brain patterns of his former self, leaving him little more than a sterile and emotionless machine. Wanda and Vision's children were also lost soon after, as it was revealed that the Scarlet Witch had created them using pieces of the villainous Mephisto, with Wanda's memory of Tommy and Billy ultimately being erased, which in turn led into the events of Avengers Disassembled, where Wanda regains her memory and rebels against the Avengers, with the ensuing carnage resulting in the Vision's death. As part of Marvel's all-new, all-different relaunch in 2015, the company sought to further explore the trauma at the core of Vision's character, as in the pages of all-new, all-different Avengers issue 0, Vision fails to save the sole survivor of a crashed bus, and becomes overwhelmed with guilt, resulting in him purging all of his memories and emotional data from his brain and choosing to start his life over again. As a result, he relocates to Fairfax, Virginia, and builds himself the family that he had previously lost, creating an android wife, Virginia, from the brain patterns of the Scarlet Witch, and two android children, Vin and Viv. Finally, after years of heroism and heartbreak, the Vision had found his apparent purpose in life, to be a husband, a father, and to chase the American dream. What could possibly go wrong? The 12-issue Vision series, brought to life by Tom King and Gabriel Hernandez Walta, is more than anything else an examination of life and humanity, from the perspective of people who desperately want to be human, but ultimately aren't. Throughout this comic, King explores many facets of human life that are seemingly ordinary to us, such as family, happiness, love, grief and anger, through the perspectives of these synthetic beings, and as such forces them to deal with the incredibly human emotions that arise from each scenario. The comic opens with an introduction to this new status quo, as two of Vision's neighbours knock on the family's door to introduce themselves. Now, this interaction between the Vision family and the neighbouring couple sets about many of the themes that become prevalent throughout the story, as Vision and Virginia give them a tour of their house and introduce them to their children. After they leave though, the couple meet in the kitchen, where it's here we see the Vision family's constant battle between thinking like androids and acting like humans, as they debate whether it's grammatically correct to say that their neighbours seemed kind or nice. From here, the comic outlines the everyday lives of the various members of the family. For instance, Vision, while still affiliated with the Avengers, now serves as the team's liaison to the President. Viv and Vin have begun attending high school, as Vision wants them to grow and interact with humans their age. However, despite these seemingly ordinary roles, it quickly becomes clear that all is not normal for these characters, as during Vin's first day of school, he's approached by a fellow student with a simple yet haunting and existential question: are you normal? As Vin attempts to grapple with this question throughout the day, it's the events that would occur later that night that truly shake the Vision family to its core, as while Vision is away, the rest of the family are attacked by the villainous Grim Reaper, leading to Viv being severely damaged and Virginia killing him in response. The murder of the Grim Reaper begins the downward spiral for the Vision family, as each member subsequently begins to struggle with many moral and existential questions. For example, Vin returns to school, hiding the true nature of his sister's absence, and when questioned by a fellow student who befriended her, ultimately panics and attacks him. Likewise, Virginia begins to be blackmailed by a mysterious individual, with photos of her disposing of the Grim Reaper's body, and when she eventually confronts the blackmailer, revealed to be Leon Kinski, the father of the child who Vin had clashed with earlier that day, the confrontation only results in more horror, as when Leon attempts to shoot Virginia, she phases through the bullets and accidentally causes them to hit his son. As a result of the two traumatic events that Virginia had experienced in such short time, she becomes overwhelmed by emotion and guilt, leading to her malfunctioning, often glitching and repeating words in conversation, seemingly haunted by whether or not she should feel guilty for what she has done, or whether it was justified, as looking after her family is her primary objective. While this unfolds, Vision repairs his daughter's body with the help of Tony Stark, and it's here that we begin to see the brewing tension between Vision and the Avengers, as his former teammates start to become concerned about his mental state, with the Avengers later being warned by Agatha Harkness that their former partner now considers them a threat. Meanwhile, Vision and Viv return home to discover the police are investigating Chris Kinski's death, interrogating Vision due to his son's altercation with Chris in the previous days. Initially, Virginia doesn't tell her husband the truth about the deaths of Chris and the Grim Reaper. However, after Vision discovers the villain's body, he chooses to help Virginia cover up her crimes for the sake of a peaceful life and the safety of their family. As the police continue to breathe down the Visions' necks, the family is soon met by a surprise visitor, Vision's long-lost brother, Victor Mancha. Victor, also created by the villainous Ultron, tells his brother that he is starting a winter internship at Capitol Hill, and since the Vision's house is only 15 miles from DC, decided to stay with him. Unbeknownst to Vision though, Victor was actually sent by the Avengers, enlisting him to infiltrate the Vision's home and gain information on whether or not they pose a threat to the world. However, things take an incredibly dark tone soon after, as Vin discovers Victor communicating with the Avengers late at night, and as Victor attempts to reason with his nephew and calm him down, he panics and accidentally electrocutes Vin and kills him. Vision and Virginia race upstairs and discover their son's lifeless body, and it's at this moment where the Avengers' deepest fears are realised, as Vision declares that his former partners are now a danger and a threat to his family. As such, Vision races over to the jail where Victor is being held, with the intention of exacting revenge and killing him. However, when he arrives outside, he discovers the Avengers there waiting for him, as Vision demands that they step aside and do not interfere with his mission. Tony Stark is the first to stand up to Vision and is struck down as a result, which in turn leads to a violent clash between the android and his former partners. Eventually, Vision makes his way through each member of the team, before entering the courthouse jail, where he's confronted by the Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness. Wanda attempts to empathise and reason with Vision, reminding him of their shared past and the good person she knows he is. However, Vision refuses to listen and enters Victor's cell. However, before he can murder his brother in cold blood, Virginia appears in the cell behind him and phases her arm through Victor's body, removing his heart and killing him. With Victor now dead, Vision and Virginia return home, where she tells him that she refuses to let her husband fall from grace and become a monster. She confesses the entirety of her crimes to her husband, revealing that she also had confessed to the police, absolving Vision of any involvement in her murders by claiming that she had tampered with his operating system. The pair share an embrace in their dark and empty home, as Vision realises that Virginia has poisoned herself and is slowly dying. Before she dies though, Virginia tells her husband that while he had saved the world 37 times, a stat that is frequently repeated throughout the series, she saved it once by preventing Vision from succumbing to his worst intentions, as Vision sheds a tear and holds her close as Virginia passes away. The comic ends with Viv meeting with the Scarlet Witch, where Wanda confronts her about her mother's death, telling her that Virginia made the ultimate sacrifice for her family, something any loving parent would do. Viv returns home to her father as the pair attempt to rebuild their life together. Vision says goodbye to his daughter as she leaves for school and returns into the house, where we discover him building a new form of android, seemingly revealing that in his continued quest for humanity, the Vision is ultimately doomed to repeat his mistakes. And as harrowing as this may seem, this conclusion ultimately shows Vision at his most human, acting solely on love and hope, attempting to rebuild the family he lost, regardless of whether it's logical or not. Overall, Vision serves as a fascinating deconstruction of humanity and morality, assessing the everyday struggles that people experience through the perspective of a family of androids desperate to fit in. Throughout the book, it often feels like the Vision family are stuck in a battle between their logical heads and their emotional hearts. This is best demonstrated by the comic's ending, where Vision sets out to murder Victor as revenge for his son's death. Now, this act seemingly cements Vision as a villainous character in the story, but what it also does is confirm him as an incredibly human one. At this point, he is almost exclusively guided by his pain and his grief, as opposed to what is the logical thing to do. Over the course of the story, Vision especially goes from being very much a robot attempting to blend in with humanity to an irrational and emotional person, lashing out and acting on instinct to cope with the pain that he feels. Tom King does this by expertly building off Vision's history within Marvel Comics, with his attempts to build a nuclear family and settle down, seemingly an attempt to regain the family that he had once had, but lost, demonstrated by the fact that Virginia's brain patterns are based off that of the Scarlet Witch, and the two children they share, Viv and Vin, are twins, not unlike Tommy and Billy. While stories such as House of M explored how the loss of the twins affected Wanda, Tom King sought to analyse the impact that it had on Vision, having been so close to the normal human life he desired, only to have it taken away. It's in this attempt to rebuild that life with his new family that ultimately cements this series as a tragedy, as despite his best intentions, Vision's new family experiences even more pain and misery than his previous one. And as sad as this is, I think it's in this tragedy and the monumental hardships that Vision endures throughout the story that finally sees him become human. When we meet the Vision family in issue 1, it feels as if they're masquerading as humans, a group of androids programmed to play the part of a nuclear family. However, by the book's conclusion, as Vision tearfully says goodbye to Virginia, it feels real and human. Through their experiences as the story progresses, each member of the family learns what life actually is. It isn't something you perform, it's something you feel and experience. In short, Vision is a beautiful tragedy, an incredible story that breaks down so many existential questions in an incredibly emotional and heartfelt way. It's a superhero deconstruction that chooses not to explore how the hero affects the world around them, but how the world around them affects the hero, and the desperate innately human desire to no longer feel on the outside looking in. And by doing this in the context of the story, it allows us to analyse our own feelings and how we perceive the world around us from the perspective of these android beings, as we watch them forced to experience both the very best and worst of what real life has to offer. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like on the video and leave a comment down below as well. Let me know your thoughts on everything we talked about in today's video. I can't wait to hear what you have to say as always. If you're new to Owen Likes Comics, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notify icon so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you enjoyed this video and you want some more, there should be some other videos on screen right now that you might also enjoy. If you want to help support me and help me make more videos, you can do so at patreon.com/OwenLikesComics, where you get early access to all of the new videos I make. And if you want some more of me, you can just follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just at OwenLikesComics. But that's all for this video though. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. So until then, take care and keep reading.